Your future is controlled by the thoughts you repeat daily. There comes a moment in every man's life when he is forced to face a truth that can either liberate him or condemn him. The truth is this: your future is not determined by luck, by chance, by family lineage, or by the so-called hand of fate. Your future is controlled by the thoughts you repeat daily, what you whisper to yourself in silence, what you entertain in the theater of your mind, what you allow to circulate in the inner chambers of your imagination. These become the blueprints of your destiny. You may deny it, resist it, argue against it, but you cannot escape it. For the law is as unshakable as gravity itself. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Look around you. Every invention, every fortune, every empire, every great act of creation began not with money, not with resources, not even with talent, but with thought. Thomas Edison sat alone in a laboratory, staring at filaments that refused to burn. And yet he repeated to himself the thought, I will find it. I will discover it. Henry Ford, ridiculed by the so-called experts, carried in his mind the repeated thought that a horseless carriage would change the world. Andrew Carnegie, the poor Scottish immigrant, repeated within himself a vision of steel that would transform cities into skylines and men into giants. And Walt Disney, mocked by bankers who told him his imagination was childish, carried in his heart the repeated thought that dreams could be built into kingdoms. Your life today is nothing more than the echo of yesterday's thoughts. If you walk in poverty, it is because your mind has been steeped in the repetition of limitation. If you drown in doubt, it is because you have rehearsed fear until it became a symphony. If you wander without direction, it is because your inner dialogue is a broken compass. But change your thoughts. Repeat new ones with unshakable intensity, and you change the very fabric of your future. Understand this: the subconscious mind does not argue, it does not question, it does not doubt. It accepts. It obeys. It becomes the soil in which the repeated seed of thought either grows into a towering tree of abundance or withers into weeds of despair. Dr. Joseph Murphy once said, "The law of your mind is the law of belief." Belief is nothing but thought cemented through repetition. The mind cannot distinguish between a truth and a lie if you repeat it often enough. That is why propaganda moves nations, why affirmations move souls, and why self-talk shapes destinies. Picture your mind as a grand broadcasting tower. Each thought you repeat daily is a frequency sent into the universe, and like attracts like. Fear attracts calamity, doubt attracts failure, gratitude attracts blessing, faith attracts opportunity, prosperity thinking attracts prosperity living. The universe does not deliver what you occasionally wish for. It delivers what you consistently dwell upon. Consider the farmer. He does not plant corn one day, weeds the next, and expect a harvest of abundance. No, he plants corn, waters corn, tends corn, repeats the process day after day until the stalks rise high and golden. So too with your mind. You cannot plant a thought of abundance on Monday, a thought of poverty on Tuesday, a thought of courage on Wednesday, and expect greatness to bloom. You must plant the same thought again and again until it sinks deep into the subconscious soil and becomes a law unto itself. Abraham Lincoln, in the darkest hours of the Civil War, repeated to himself the thought that the Union must and would be preserved. He rehearsed it so deeply that even when advisors trembled, even when generals failed, even when the nation seemed to collapse, he carried the inner certainty that preservation was inevitable. That thought became his compass, his anchor, his crown. Do you not see? Your repeated thoughts are not small things. They are commands issued to your future. They are instructions sent to the infinite intelligence that surrounds us all. Wallace D. Wattles wrote that thought is the only power that can produce tangible riches from the formless substance of the universe. And he was right. To think once is to strike a match. To think repeatedly is to build a fire that cannot be extinguished. But here lies the tragedy of the average man. He repeats the wrong thoughts. He rehearses fear before he sleeps. He imagines failure before he begins. He meditates on worry as if it were his daily bread. And then he wonders why his life is a mirror of struggle, lack, and defeat. What you tolerate in your thinking, you will experience in your living. The man who says, "I cannot," is already defeated, not because the world has conspired against him, but because his own repetition has tied his hands. Now listen with urgency. If you wish to transform your future, you must seize control of your daily repetition. You must become the master of your inner dialogue. You must, as Charles F. Haanel declared, think only of what you want, not of what you do not want. For the subconscious will build both with equal precision. Speak often of poverty, and it will build poverty with the care of an architect. Speak often of abundance, and it will build wealth with the same devotion. The question is, what will you allow yourself to repeat? Imagine a sculptor, hammer and chisel in hand, standing before a block of marble. Each strike shapes the form hidden within. Your repeated thoughts are those strikes. Every day you chisel at the marble of your future. Some men carve angels, others carve monsters. Some carve palaces, others carve prisons. The marble does not decide. The sculptor does. And you, through repetition, are sculpting the very destiny that will soon stand before you. When Nikola Tesla walked the streets of New York, penniless yet ablaze with vision, he repeated to himself the thoughts of frequency, vibration, and energy. He declared that the secrets of the universe could be discovered through them. The world laughed, but the repetition of those thoughts burned into his subconscious until they birthed inventions that altered history. And so it is with you. If you repeat daily the thought that you are destined for greatness, though the world laugh, though the bank accounts scream otherwise, though the circumstances deny it, that thought, hammered again and again into your subconscious, will find its way into reality. Let us strip away all excuses. Your future is not shaped by the government, by the economy, by the whispers of critics, or by the circumstances of birth. Your future is shaped by the repetition of your inner words. Speak life, and life responds. Speak death, and death answers. Speak abundance, and abundance appears. Speak limitation, and limitation obeys. It was Earl Nightingale who declared, "We become what we think about." And he meant not what we think about once, but what we think about repeatedly, obsessively, faithfully. For repetition is the drumbeat that marches thought into destiny. Every day, as you rise from bed, the world presents you with a blank canvas. Some paint with doubt, others with fear, still others with indecision. But the masters, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, the Fords, the Churchills, they painted with repeated strokes of vision. They carried one dominating thought, repeated it until it became a mantra, and bent reality to its will. And so I say to you, choose your repetitions wisely, for they are the daily brushstrokes of your future. Your repeated thoughts become your companions. They walk with you into every room, into every conversation, into every decision. They whisper into your ear in moments of silence, and they shout over the crowd when you doubt yourself. They are the invisible entourage that either lifts you higher or chains you to the ground. And whether you realize it or not, you never walk alone. You are always accompanied by the army of your repeated thoughts. Ask yourself, who marches beside you each day? Do they wear the armor of courage or the rags of fear? Do they carry banners of faith or shadows of doubt? For what you repeat in your mind recruits soldiers for your future battle. Alexander the Great once declared that he was not afraid of an army of lions led by a sheep, but he was terrified of an army of sheep led by a lion. Why? Because leadership of thought determines the destiny of the many. And your life is no different. If your repeated thought is weak, fearful, uncertain, then the legion of your days will be sheep wandering directionless. But if your repeated thought is strong, bold, certain, then even the smallest opportunities, the most ordinary days, will march like lions toward victory. The great leaders of history understood this. Winston Churchill, during the bombing of London, did not repeat the thought of defeat. He repeated with the unshakable rhythm of a war drum, "We shall never surrender." That thought, repeated aloud and inwardly, turned a nation's fear into steel. It was not just strategy that saved Britain. It was the repetition of a defiant thought that breathed courage into millions. And now turn inward. What do you repeat when your world shakes? Do you rehearse panic or do you rehearse strength? Do you murmur defeat in secret or do you thunder faith in silence? Your future waits for your answer. Consider this: the brain is not only a vessel of thought, it is a machine of habit. Neuroscientists now confirm what sages declared centuries ago. Repetition rewires the brain. Each thought repeated daily strengthens neural pathways until the mind fires in automatic patterns. Thoughts of abundance create highways of prosperity in the brain. Thoughts of fear pave roads of failure. You are quite literally programming your own mind with every thought you repeat. Dr. Maxwell Maltz, in his groundbreaking work on psychocybernetics, observed that the self-image is molded by repeated thoughts. He found that a man who daily repeats the thought, "I am capable, I am powerful, I am destined," will eventually act in harmony with that self-image. But the man who repeats, "I am unworthy, I am powerless, I am doomed," will sabotage himself at every turn. The repetition becomes prophecy. This is why gratitude is powerful. This is why affirmations are powerful. This is why vision boards, prayers, meditations, all these practices hold power. It is not the ritual itself, but the repetition of thought behind the ritual that imprints destiny upon the mind. And yet how careless we are with our repetition. Men repeat gossip 100 times, but never repeat a single affirmation of greatness. Women repeat the memory of betrayal, but never repeat the memory of triumph. The masses repeat the news of disaster, never the news of possibility. And then they ask why their lives echo with the same misfortune. The answer is clear. They have become addicted to repeating poison, and poison inevitably destroys. But you can be different. You can decide today to become the guardian of your repeated thoughts. You can choose to repeat only what serves you, only what strengthens you, only what aligns with the vision of the life you hunger for. Imagine if, from this day forward, every morning you repeated with burning conviction, "I am wealth, I am strength, I am courage, I am destined for greatness." Imagine if every night before sleep you whispered to your subconscious, "I am becoming more, I am expanding, I am unstoppable." Imagine the power of those thoughts, repeated for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Would not your mind begin to transform? Would not your spirit rise? Would not your circumstances begin to bend beneath the weight of your inner certainty? History testifies that they would. Charles M. Schwab repeated daily his vision of steel magnates cooperating and innovating until it manifested into U.S. Steel, a corporation of unprecedented scale. Rockefeller repeated the thought of organized oil until he controlled the industry itself. Carnegie repeated the thought of giving until he built libraries across the world, leaving a legacy of knowledge. These men understood that wealth follows repeated clarity, but the repetition must not be mechanical. It must be drenched in belief, soaked in emotion, fused with desire. To repeat a thought with indifference is to whisper to the wind. To repeat a thought with burning faith is to carve it into stone. That is, the dominating thoughts of your mind, mixed with a burning desire, will inevitably translate into their physical equivalent. So then, what is your dominating thought? Not the thought you occasionally wish for, but the one you rehearse, the one that hums in your heart when no one is watching, the one that shapes your posture, your tone, your decisions. That thought, repeated daily, is pulling you toward your future like an invisible magnet. If it is a thought of lack, you will be pulled into scarcity. If it is a thought of abundance, you will be pulled into prosperity. Consider the magnet of the earth. You cannot see it, but it pulls the needle of every compass with unerring consistency. Your repeated thoughts are the magnetic field of your life, invisible yet irresistible, unseen yet undeniable. They pull circumstances, people, and opportunities into your orbit. And if you are wise, you will calibrate that magnet daily with precision. Here lies the supreme responsibility of man. To govern his thoughts as a king governs his kingdom. To cast out the traitors of doubt, to silence the rebels of fear, to elevate the loyal soldiers of faith, gratitude, and abundance. For the kingdom of the mind, once well ruled, produces a kingdom of reality well lived. Helen Keller, blind and deaf, could have repeated thoughts of limitation until her days faded in despair. Yet she chose to repeat thoughts of possibility. She declared, "Keep your face to the sunshine and you cannot see a shadow." That repetition birthed a life that inspired millions. What excuse then does any of us have? The excuse is only this: we have allowed our repetitions to run wild, like untamed horses. But today, you may seize the reins. Today, you may decide what shall be repeated. And by that decision, you decide your future. Do not underestimate the power of a single repeated thought. It may seem small at first, like a drop of water, but repeated daily, the drop hollows the stone. Repeated daily, the drop becomes a river. Repeated daily, the river carves valleys, moves mountains, reshapes the land itself. So too, your thought, though small at first, if repeated daily, carves your destiny with relentless force. And so, let the old thoughts die. Bury the repetitions of fear, of poverty, of weakness, and resurrect within yourself the repetitions of strength, of abundance, of victory. Repeat them until they become the marrow of your bones, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the very breath of your being. For in the end, your future is nothing more and nothing less than the echo of the thoughts you repeat daily. Discipline is the bridge between the repetition of thought and the reality of achievement. To think abundantly one day and carelessly the next is to build with one hand and destroy with the other. The man who masters discipline is the man who takes his repeated thoughts and turns them into an unstoppable current of action. Without discipline, repetition remains wishful thinking. With discipline, repetition becomes creation. Consider the life of Andrew Carnegie. He did not rise from poverty to empire by repeating idle wishes. He repeated thoughts of steel, thoughts of industry, thoughts of expansion, then disciplined himself to work, to study, to seize opportunities others overlooked. His thoughts commanded his actions, and his actions obeyed with precision. Discipline was the bridge that carried his thoughts into billions of dollars of wealth and influence. Look at the soldier on the battlefield. He does not train once, then rest. He trains daily, repeating the drills, the movements, the discipline of war, until his body obeys without hesitation. So too must you train your mind. For if you cannot command your thoughts, how will you command your future? If you cannot discipline the repetition of faith, how will you conquer the repetition of fear? A man without discipline is like a ship without a rudder. He may have a strong wind of thought, but he drifts aimlessly. A man with discipline harnesses the wind and sails toward destiny. Now hear me well. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is liberation. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the path to freedom. The man who disciplines his mind to repeat empowering thoughts is free from the slavery of fear. The man who disciplines his habits to serve his vision is free from the chains of procrastination. The man who disciplines his desires is free from the tyranny of impulse. Discipline is the crown jewel of kingship over oneself. And from discipline arises clarity of purpose. For when your mind is disciplined, scattered thoughts fade, and the single dominating idea shines like a beacon. Definiteness of purpose is the first principle of success. Without it, repetition is wasted. To repeat 1,000 scattered thoughts is to plant seeds on stone. But to repeat one definite thought with disciplined focus is to plant an oak in fertile soil. Look at Thomas Edison. His definite purpose was to bring light to the darkness. Thousands of experiments failed, yet he never repeated the thought of defeat. His disciplined repetition of the thought, "It can be done," burned so brightly within him that the incandescent bulb eventually answered his faith. Definiteness of purpose is a law of magnetism. The clearer your thought, the stronger its pull. The more definite your repetition, the faster the universe bends to obey. The man who knows exactly what he wants repeats it daily and disciplines himself to act upon it. Such a man is unstoppable. But clarity without faith is powerless. You must not only repeat your purpose, you must believe in it with the intensity of fire. Andrew Carnegie did not merely hope for wealth. He believed with such certainty that his vision infected an entire generation. Henry Ford did not merely wish for automobiles. He believed so absolutely that his factory workers began to share his vision. Belief, repeated with clarity, becomes contagious. It spreads beyond your mind into the minds of others until reality itself bows to its demand. Now let us turn to the connection between repeated thought and wealth creation. Wealth is not first created in the marketplace. It is first created in the mind. A poor man who repeats thoughts of poverty will remain poor even if given a fortune, for his repetition will erode his riches. But a rich mind, repeating thoughts of abundance, will create wealth, even if stripped of everything. That is why great men who lost fortunes often rebuilt them, because their repetition of wealth thinking never left them. John D. Rockefeller repeated the thought of order, of efficiency, of consolidation. He rehearsed it so deeply that his very presence seemed to command structure, and structure brought him power over oil. J.P. Morgan repeated the thought of control, of influence, of stability. That thought shaped his dealings until he became the banker of bankers, the man who steadied nations. These men did not stumble into wealth. They cultivated it first in thought, through disciplined repetition, until it was inevitable. Do you want wealth? Then do not first chase money. First, repeat the thoughts that attract it. Repeat daily, "I am abundance. I am prosperity. I am the magnet of opportunity. I am the creator of value." Repeat them until they no longer sound like words, but like truth. Repeat them until your subconscious, like fertile earth, births ideas, strategies, and opportunities that were invisible before. For wealth is not found, it is created, and creation begins in the theater of repeated thought. But wealth is not only measured in dollars. Wealth is energy, vitality, influence, love, wisdom. To repeat thoughts of health is to cultivate the wealth of a strong body. To repeat thoughts of love is to cultivate the wealth of meaningful relationships. To repeat thoughts of wisdom is to cultivate the wealth of insight and foresight. The man who repeats thoughts of total wealth, body, mind, spirit, finances, relationships, is the man who lives a life of staggering abundance. And here is a truth many fear to face. Poverty, too, is created by repetition. It is not simply misfortune. It is the fruit of repeated thoughts of limitation, of envy, of hopelessness. A man who daily repeats, "I cannot, I do not, I will never," builds an invisible prison around himself. His mind becomes a dungeon, his future the shackles of his own creation. Poverty is not merely the absence of money. It is the presence of destructive repetition. You must decide which kingdom you will serve. Will you serve the kingdom of wealth, repeating daily the thoughts that attract abundance? Or will you serve the kingdom of poverty, repeating the chains that bind your spirit? The choice is yours, and it is made not once in a lifetime, but every single day with every thought you repeat. Think of it as a grand orchestra. Each thought you repeat daily is an instrument playing its note. Repeat the wrong thoughts, and your life becomes a cacophony of discord. Repeat the right thoughts, and your life becomes a symphony of harmony and power. You are the conductor. The instruments are waiting. The music of your future depends on what you choose to repeat. Now pause in your mind for a moment. Picture your future self 10 years from today. That future self is nothing more than the embodiment of the thoughts you are rehearsing right now. If you repeat fear today, that self will be a slave. If you repeat faith today, that self will be a king. If you repeat scarcity today, that self will beg. If you repeat abundance today, that self will reign. Your future self waits for your command, and your command is delivered by the thoughts you repeat daily. Resilience is born in the forge of repeated thought. No man is unbroken by life's storms, but the resilient man has rehearsed strength so often that even in the tempest, he stands. The difference between the one who crumbles and the one who conquers is not luck. It is the inner dialogue that has been rehearsed long before the trial arrives. Think of Abraham Lincoln. He lost elections, he lost businesses, he buried children, and yet he did not collapse into despair. Why? Because his repeated thought was that destiny had called him to preserve the Union. That thought became his shield against defeat. He rehearsed it until no tragedy could silence it. This is resilience, not the absence of pain, but the repetition of purpose louder than the pain. Adaptability, too, is governed by repetition. A man who repeats daily, "I can adjust, I can learn, I can grow," becomes a master of transformation. He is not rigid like stone, but fluid like water, flowing around obstacles, reshaping himself to meet opportunity. When Thomas Edison's factory burned to the ground in 1914, he did not repeat thoughts of despair. Instead, he declared, "All our mistakes are burned up. Thank God we can start anew." Such repetition of possibility transformed disaster into renewal. Do you see the secret? The world does not reward the strongest or the smartest, but the one who repeats thoughts of persistence, resilience, and adaptability until they become second nature. When the winds of change blow, some build walls, but the wise build windmills. And what determines the builder you become? The thoughts you have repeated in silence long before the storm arrived. Resilience and adaptability are not accidental. They are rehearsed. They are forged in the small repetitions of courage each day, in the whispered affirmations that nothing can destroy me, everything is my teacher, I rise, no matter how many times I fall. If you repeat weakness, you will yield to pressure. If you repeat strength, you will rise from the ashes like a phoenix. History honors those who repeated victory in their minds before the world ever saw it. Churchill repeated defiance until bombs could not shake it. Tesla repeated visions of energy until the impossible bowed to invention. Helen Keller repeated thoughts of possibility until her limitations became irrelevant. Each of these giants rehearsed thoughts that contradicted reality until reality bent beneath their inner command. And so I ask you, what reality are you commanding with your repetition? Are you commanding failure, rehearsing it daily in your mind, then acting surprised when it appears at your door? Or are you commanding triumph, repeating it with such certainty that the universe has no choice but to deliver it? Every day you have the choice. Each thought you repeat is a vote for your future. Each repetition is a brick in the structure of your destiny. Some vote for fear, some for faith. Some build prisons, some build palaces. Some rehearse limitation, some rehearse liberty. What are you building? For make no mistake, you are always building. You cannot take a day off from the law of repetition. Even in silence, you are rehearsing something. Even in worry, you are repeating. Even in idleness, your mind plays its drumbeat. There is no neutrality. You are either rehearsing your destiny or you are rehearsing your defeat. So you must become vigilant. You must guard your repetitions as a treasurer guards gold. You must decide that no unworthy thought shall pass through the gates of your mind unchecked. You must elevate the repetitions of courage, vision, abundance, gratitude, and purpose until they dominate like kings in the castle of your consciousness. And gratitude, let us not overlook it. Gratitude is one of the most powerful repetitions of all. For gratitude tunes the mind to abundance. The man who repeats, I am thankful for what I have, I am thankful for what is coming, shifts his vibration to match wealth itself. Wallace Wattles declared that the grateful mind is constantly fixed upon the best. Therefore, it tends to become the best. To repeat gratitude is to align your soul with riches. But ingratitude, repeated daily, becomes poison. To repeat complaints, to rehearse what is lacking, is to chain yourself to the frequency of poverty. Gratitude attracts, complaint repels. Gratitude multiplies, complaint divides. The future belongs to the grateful repeater. And so we come closer to the truth that men have whispered through the ages. Your destiny is not shaped by isolated acts, but by repeated thoughts. Destiny is not a sudden thunderbolt. It is the steady drip of thought carving its way through stone. Destiny is not a single decision. It is the rhythm of repetition day after day until the unseen becomes the seen. Let your mind become a temple of powerful repetition. Rise each morning with words of victory on your lips. Walk through your day, rehearsing strength. Sleep each night with gratitude echoing in your heart. Do this not once, not occasionally, but daily, endlessly, faithfully, and you will discover what few dare believe, that the universe is malleable, that reality bends, that the world itself conspires to obey the thoughts you repeat. Your future is not a mystery. It is not written in the stars. It is written in your repetition. It is written in the daily incantations you whisper to yourself when no one is watching. It is written in the hidden affirmations, the inner dialogue, the thoughts rehearsed until they become flesh. And so, take dominion now. Seize the throne of your mind. Cast out the beggar thoughts, the pauper thoughts, the slave thoughts. Crown the thoughts of abundance, of courage, of greatness. Repeat them daily, and soon they will repeat themselves without effort. Repeat them daily, and soon your subconscious will march to their command. Repeat them daily, and soon your future will arrive, not as a stranger, but as the very image you have rehearsed all along. The truth has been delivered to you. Your future is controlled by the thoughts you repeat daily. And now the question thunders through eternity. What shall you repeat? The hour is late, and the world waits for men and women who dare to seize their minds as a warrior seizes his sword. Look around. Every invention, every fortune, every revolution was first whispered in thought, then repeated, then hammered into reality by the insistence of belief. The same law that moved Edison to light the world, that moved Ford to put wheels under humanity, that moved Carnegie to bend steel into empires, that same law beats in your chest this very moment. But laws do not bend themselves to the timid. They bend to the resolute. They bow to the mind that repeats its vision with such ferocity that even the mountains grow weary of resisting. The universe is waiting to serve you, but it cannot answer confusion. It cannot answer contradiction. It answers only the command that is repeated, 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 until the unseen forces of life rally to its banner. Understand me. You are not powerless. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are not at the mercy of economy, government, or fate. You are the master architect of your destiny. And the bricks of your creation are your repeated thoughts. Every day you lay them, whether you're conscious or not. Some build palaces, some build prisons, some build ladders to the heavens, some dig graves for their own potential. But you, yes, you, can decide this very moment which structure will rise. Picture your life 10 years from today. Hear the echo of your footsteps walking into that future. What do you see? What do you hold in your hands? Who stands beside you? That picture, that vision, will not be written by accident. It will be written by the thoughts you rehearse after this very breath. If you repeat doubt, then doubt will be your companion 10 years from now. If you repeat faith, then faith will be the architect of your empire. If you repeat poverty, then poverty will chain your future self. But if you repeat abundance, then abundance will pour into your life like a river breaking its banks. And so the choice thunders before you, as clear as lightning in the night sky. What will you repeat? Will you waste the divine machinery of your mind on fears that serve no master but failure? Or will you wield it with intention, as Tesla wielded vision, as Churchill wielded defiance, as Lincoln wielded purpose? The gods of history are not gods at all. They are mortals who repeated thoughts so fiercely that the universe itself bent to their will. Do you not feel the fire within you? Do you not hear the call? Your soul has waited too long in the shadows of hesitation. Enough. Enough rehearsing defeat. Enough memorizing mediocrity. Enough bowing to thoughts unworthy of your destiny. Stand up in the chambers of your mind and command them to kneel. Let every whisper of doubt be silenced by the roar of certainty. Let every echo of poverty be drowned in the song of abundance. Let every shadow of fear be burned away by the flame of faith. Repeat it now. I am greatness. I am abundance. I am resilience. I am destiny in motion. Say it until the words no longer sound foreign, until they no longer feel like hope, but like truth. Say it until your very cells vibrate with its rhythm. Say it until the universe itself begins to rearrange in obedience. For the future is not a question mark, it is an echo. It echoes the rhythm of your repetition. It mirrors the words you etch into your subconscious. It is nothing more and nothing less than the harvest of what you plant daily in thought. Plant fear, reap fear. Plant courage, reap triumph. Plant lack, reap poverty. Plant abundance, reap riches untold. This is the final law, the eternal commandment, the unbreakable decree. Your future is controlled by the thoughts you repeat daily. You can resist it, but you cannot escape it. You can deny it, but you cannot overturn it. You can ignore it, but it will govern you nonetheless. And so the wise do not resist. They align. The wise do not deny. They embrace. The wise do not ignore. They choose. And so I leave you with this. Choose now. Choose today. Choose the thought that will be repeated with unshakable discipline, with burning desire, with gratitude, overflowing with faith, unbreakable. Choose it and repeat it until it becomes the marrow of your being. Repeat it until it commands your body, your habits, your destiny. Repeat it until it becomes reality. For one day, when the curtain of your life draws to a close, the world will not ask what you wished for. It will not ask what you dreamed of occasionally. It will ask, what did you repeat? What thoughts did you engrave upon your soul? And the answer will not be spoken with words. It will be written in the story of your life. Repeat wisely. Repeat powerfully. Repeat endlessly. For in repetition lies creation. In repetition lies destiny. In repetition lies the power of God's entrusted to mortal hands. Your future is controlled by the thoughts you repeat daily. And today that future waits for your command. That picture, that vision, will not be written by accident. It will be written by the thoughts you rehearse after this very breath. If you repeat doubt, then doubt will be your companion 10 years from now. If you repeat faith, then faith will be the architect of your empire. If you repeat poverty, then poverty will chain your future self. But if you repeat abundance, then abundance will pour into your life like a river breaking its banks. And so the choice thunders before you, as clear as lightning in the night sky. What will you repeat? Will you waste the divine machinery of your mind on fears that serve no master but failure? Or will you wield it with intention, as Tesla wielded vision, as Churchill wielded defiance, as Lincoln wielded purpose? The gods of history are not gods at all. They are mortals who repeated thoughts so fiercely that the universe itself bent to their will. Do you not feel the fire within you? Do you not hear the call? Your soul has waited too long in the shadows of hesitation. Enough. Enough rehearsing defeat. Enough memorizing mediocrity. Enough bowing to thoughts unworthy of your destiny. Stand up in the chambers of your mind and command them to kneel. Let every whisper of doubt be silenced by the roar of certainty. Let every echo of poverty be drowned in the song of abundance. Let every shadow of fear be burned away by the flame of faith. Repeat it now. I am greatness. I am abundance. I am resilience. I am destiny in motion. Say it until the words no longer sound foreign, until they no longer feel like hope, but like truth. Say it until your very cells vibrate with its rhythm. Say it until the universe itself begins to rearrange in obedience. For the future is not a question mark, it is an echo. It echoes the rhythm of your repetition. It mirrors the words you etch into your subconscious. It is nothing more and nothing less than the harvest of what you plant daily in thought. Plant fear, reap fear. Plant courage, reap triumph. Plant lack, reap poverty. Plant abundance, reap riches untold. This is the final law, the eternal commandment, the unbreakable decree. Your future is controlled by the thoughts you repeat daily. You can resist it, but you cannot escape it. You can deny it, but you cannot overturn it. You can ignore it, but it will govern you nonetheless. And so the wise do not resist. They align. The wise do not deny. They embrace. The wise do not ignore. They choose. And so I leave you with this. Choose now. Choose today. Choose the thought that will be repeated with unshakable discipline, with burning desire, with gratitude, overflowing with faith, unbreakable. Choose it and repeat it until it becomes the marrow of your being. Repeat it until it commands your body, your habits, your destiny. Repeat it until it becomes reality. For one day, when the curtain of your life draws to a close, the world will not ask what you wished for. It will not ask what you dreamed of occasionally. It will ask, what did you repeat? What thoughts did you engrave upon your soul? And the answer will not be spoken with words. It will be written in the story of your life. Repeat wisely. Repeat powerfully. Repeat endlessly. For in repetition lies creation. In repetition lies destiny. In repetition lies the power of gods entrusted to mortal hands. Your future is controlled by the thoughts you repeat daily. And today that future waits for your command. You will not become what you visualize once. You will become what you visualize consistently, daily, obsessively, until your brain starts adjusting your behaviors, your standards, your environment to match that inner self-image. That's not magic. That's biology. So listen this lesson again and again and again until it gets installed in your brain and in your subconscious mind, until you realize the results you seek.
This is timeless and powerful wisdom that has influenced and improved the life of millions. Now you must install it deep into your subconscious mind to experience real-life changes. Find in our channel's description the resources that will aid you in achieving the optimum results you seek.